Moving on to Cristopher Sanchez. I'll kick it off here. 100 innings pitched on the year. A really impressive 1.047 whip, which is really, really good. Impressive stuff there. His Ks per 9 were up from last year to almost 8.7. Another incredibly encouraging sign to see there. He had a 3.44 ERA. I mean, that's really effing good. And he dropped his walk rate dramatically by more than half, from 3.8 per 9 all the way down to 1.4 per 9. And because of all of that, I'm going to give Cristopher Sanchez a B+. Now, part of my, I guess, weighted scaling system here with Sanchez is a little bit of expectation versus what he gave you. I think my expectation for Cristopher Sanchez, like, this is probably the best I thought Cristopher Sanchez could be ever. Mm-hmm. And I think he showed you that he not only met that, but he can also potentially get better. So I gave him a B+. I was thoroughly impressed with Cristopher Sanchez this year. I almost considered giving him an A-. Like, he kind of wowed me a little bit this year. So a little golf clap from me, Cristopher Sanchez. That's good work by you, buddy. Keep it up this offseason, because if you didn't have Cristopher Sanchez as your 5th starter there, or 6th or whatever, to get the the playoff rotation ready, this season could have been a disaster.
Yeah. I like it. I think for Sanchez coming into this season, wanting to have a healthier season, obviously, after just 3 starts last year and the 15 games played. For Sanchez this year, it was similar to what I'm looking for Ranger next year, of how do you bounce back after having an injured season. And Sanchez, I thought, was steady. I gave him a B- though, because I do think there's just room for improvement with everybody, obviously, but sure, improvement specifically for Sanchez. I
need to improve. I ate a bunch of Sour Patch strawberries before we came in here for my breakfast. I need to self-improve. So
I like that accountability, Jamie.
Yeah,
I respect that.
I'm eating candy for breakfast. It's not good.
Sanchez in his outings giving up 16 home runs in the course of 18 games started. Not ideal, but also Sanchez was solid. You talk about that whip, the 3.44 ERA. I think Sanchez, unfortunately, in the postseason was kind of set up to fail in a bit because he just was thrown into.
I didn't think he was that bad. I thought Rob should have let him in more.
No, but it was a situation where you would have liked him to be able to go longer, and he wasn't ready. He wasn't.
Well, he didn't pitch for 2 series there.
Exactly, and that's what I mean.
And I think
the
that's
frustrating
a fault
part
of Rob Thompson for not, either getting him in some games here or there or whatever. But
bingo.
I agree. That's tough to sit out 2 series and then come into an NLCS.
And that's where I think he was, in a sense, set up to fail, because you, especially for pitchers, to be out for 2 series and have a few weeks in between your last game. The last game he played was 1 inning, and then before that it was a week prior that he started. It was a very long time between that last inning he pitched versus the next game in the NLCS. So I think, unfortunately, for Cristopher Sanchez, it is hard to look at his postseason bigger picture, but still had a steady postseason for the most part. Solid 3.86 ERA in that 1 game started. But I would like to see a nice, healthy, full season of Sanchez, which is why I'm giving him a B-, where he can truly step up. I want Cristopher Sanchez to be the next guy right behind Ranger Suarez consistently. So I'd love to see.
He has that capability. Totally.
He does, and that's why I'm going to give him a B-, because it's a challenge. It's progress. It needs improvement, is what I'm grading him on a lot of areas for Sanchez, because I think he's got the making. I love what he brings on the mound as a taller frame, the way he throws the ball. I think he's steady and can be that guy, but I'd like him to become more of A-, B+ type of a pitcher for the Phillies. I think he can do that. Tyler, I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think looking at Cristopher Sanchez this season was kind of out of nowhere. It was a left field type of season, and I think my expectations for him were to eat innings in some capacity, maybe in a slightly better scale of Bailey Falter a season ago. And what Cristopher Sanchez gave you over the course of the season was consistency, because you knew exactly what you were going to get out of Cristopher Sanchez's start. since he became a full-time starter back in June. He was the one thing I didn't realize was how damn good he was against lefties this year. A 1.14 ERA with a .6 WHIP, and that has something to do with, you were talking about, Renee, him being that tall downhill type thrower, because he doesn't throw all that hard. He's 92, 93, but you know exactly what you're going to get out of him. He's going to be really good against lefties. He struggled against righties, and you guys talk about the RAV4 fourth inning. Like, we got to come up with something for Sanchez's second inning, because usually it's the second, third inning where he struggles a little bit, and then you get like 3, 4, 5 or 4, 5, 6 where he settles in, and then you look at a box score of 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, 4 hits, 5 Ks, 2 walks, and you go, well, you give him a chance to win again. So for this season, based on expectations and what he did, I'm giving Cristopher Sanchez a B.
Yeah, and I like it. I mean, as you mentioned, just became a full-time starter in June. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do next year. What he brings is something different to the Phillies.